Hello, my name is Ola, and I'm going to be finishing up looking at Castlevania Part uh, 3 and 4. Again, like I said in the last one, lots of people recommend this one. Yusman Tariq, Anna Usagi 2, Max Livingstone, Ryan Berwick, and Kung Fu Geek 2. Thank you, everyone who recommended uh, all of Castlevania. Um, yeah, Castlevania 1 and 3 were definitely the best Castlevania games. Um, Part 2, they just like let you skate through death, like literally, like, well, not skate, you just walk by them, like like what the why? And then just easily, like, oh, just like that, you kill Dracula. Like, why? And he's supposed to be like the biggest, baddest boss, like the main boss enemy, whatever. Anyway, yeah, let's finish this up. That's it. Yeah. Finishing up part 3 and 4. And if you want to like, comment, subscribe my channel, you can. If you don't want to, that's fine too. Here we go.
When the 1980s came to an end, the Castlevania trilogy was already etched into my mind as classic. It was the archetype of both the action and horror genres and a masterpiece in side-scrolling gaming. Roughly at the turn of the decade came the 16-bit era. I had no idea that it could actually get better. In 1991, Castlevania made its transition to the new Super Nintendo. But this wasn't just Castlevania 4, oh no, this was Super Castlevania 4,
What?
and well worthy of that title. The graphics and sound just blew my fucking balls off.
Whoa.
The haunting and chilling atmosphere of the old games was now like a walk through the park with the Care Bears. This time, I was really getting scared. At the time, this must have been the greatest opening to any video game yet. The fog keeps rolling in until it envelops the shattered gravestone and almost seems to be creeping into the room itself. And then, of course, we have the game.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, this is where it's at. The graphics give a supreme demonstration of what the Super Nintendo could do. There's not two levels that look alike, and the attention to detail is exquisite. The first time I played, I didn't even notice that skull in the background. If you look close enough, you can see bats flying out. There's a stage where the background spins, giving you a three-dimensional effect. Then there's the room that rotates two-dimensionally, and you have to hang on your whip. It gives you a feeling of disorientation that I hadn't felt yet in a game. But the best advantage, the most important thing that they improved here, was the control. The choppy stiffness of the earlier games, gone. Now, it's fluent and perfect. You can whip straight up, down, or in any direction. That's 8 directions you can whip. If you hold down the button and fuck about with the D-pad, you can do all kinds of tricks. It doesn't have much purpose, but it's pretty cool. Being able to whip any way you want makes it easier to attack enemies while you're in mid-air. Not to mention, when you jump, you have more ability to control where you land. You can even move while crouching. The control is perfect. And that's the key word here, control. You feel like you're in control. It's almost like Simon Belmont can do anything, even moonwalk. It's as if you are Simon Belmont and fully immersed in the game. That means that the difficulty isn't all about stiff controls and cheap deaths, but this time in genuine, fair challenge. For the most part. As far as the story goes, it's more or less a remake of the first game. Some fans might have been a little disappointed that there's no other playable characters and it goes back to the linear style, but that's how I like it best, straightforward and simple. The replay value is high for me, and I'd pop this fucker in any day. In its final stages, it plays the music from all 3 of the NES games. It's like nostalgic memories of a Nintendo game within another Nintendo game.
Not gonna lie, it actually does look a lot better than the original games.
That's it. The perfect Castlevania game. But what will come next? We had a sequel, a prequel, and a remake. Which direction could the series go after this? At this point, my expectations were soaring in the heavens, and I couldn't wait for Castlevania 5. This is where the disappointment began, and forever kept rolling downhill like a ball of dog dookie down a muddy slope. I opened up the pages of Nintendo Power, and there it was, Castlevania Dracula X. I said it out loud to myself. Castlevania Dracula X. I wondered, why not just call it Castlevania 5? Well, that's what I thought back then, but if only I knew the original Japanese title, Devil's Castle Dracula X Rondo of Blood.
What?
Just rolls right off your tongue. The original version on the PC Engine would be unknown in North America for years to come until it was eventually released on the PSP. The Super Nintendo version is often seen as a butchered port, but I think it's a decent addition to the series. In this game, you take control of a new Belmont named Richter. He's not quite as skilled with the whip. Once again, you're restricted to only whipping in a horizontal manner, a major downfall from the previous game. Throwing special items on the stairs, once again it's a little tricky because you have to use the D-pad. Unlike the last game, which conveniently used the R button, this time you're back to the NES control of using up plus the attack button. However, you do have a backflip, which can come in handy sometimes. But for the most part, you're ill-equipped to deal with the unfair challenges. The distances you're expected to jump are stretched so far that the only way to make them is if you jump from the absolute edge, as close as you can possibly get without falling off. The frustration in this game is back full fucking force. Every level is an endurance, and you'll be begging for a pork chop all the time. The final battle with Dracula is impossible. Fucking possible. Is it bad enough Dracula turns into a devil wearing a Speedo? But on top of that, you have to hop across platforms? Anywhere you stand, one hit will knock you off and kill you. Dracula X was a decent game, but not a worthy successor to the masterpiece Castlevania 4, so the search was still on. Now let me explain something for a minute. I couldn't afford more than one game system at a time, plus a library of games to support it, so I passed on PlayStation in favor of the next Nintendo console. I was sure that the same way the Super Nintendo impressed me so much, the Nintendo 64 would come along and do the same, delivering the next best Castlevania. I was ready to have my balls blown off by awesomeness once again. There were two games, one simply titled Castlevania and the other Castlevania Legacy of Darkness. They were both released the same year and share the same style of gameplay. Like Mario and Zelda, Castlevania was making a leap to the third dimension. The graphics are good for Nintendo 64 standards, but I find them unappealing because it's the beginning of the 3D age and they haven't perfected it yet. It's that awkward period between the old and the new. Now, because both these games are so similar, I'm only going to talk about this one. If I talk about every game, I'll be doing this till next year. After all, this is the last Castlevania game I played when it was new, closing my personal recollection of how I experienced the series. You get a choice between two characters, Reinhardt and Carrie. Reinhardt uses the whip. The control is awkward. I don't know what it is, but it just seems like Castlevania was made to be in 2D. I don't know, just for some reason, Ocarina of Time worked out so much better. So I'm going with Carrie, because at least she has a projectile, giving you a longer range. But now I'm playing as like a schoolgirl. It doesn't look anything like Castlevania anymore. In this stage, you have to pull levers to open gates. So when you get to a lever, it says operate the mechanism, yes or no. Why does it bother asking me this? Obviously I want to pull the lever. What's my other option? To just stare at the fucking background? The enemies are a complete joke. A Frankenstein monster wielding a chainsaw? What? Skeletons on motorcycles? And this game
What?
takes place in 1852. Was there fucking motorcycles back then?
No.
The music sucks. It just sucks. Think it sucks? Listen. It sucks. There is no fucking music. The control is what kills it. You grab onto these steps, and when you try to climb up, you just move back and forth. You want to know what your worst enemy is in this game? Medusa heads? No. Stairs? No. Water? No. This time, it's the camera itself.
Wow.
You can never situate the camera at the right angle to see what the hell you're doing. It just points wherever it wants. Okay, so now I'm at a part where I'm supposed to destroy a cracked wall using two separate items. So I gotta find these two items and combine them together so they make some kind of explosive chemical. One's called a mandragora and the other is nitro. I got the mandragora first, but now when I try to pick up the nitro, it's telling me I can't carry them together because they'll explode. So, okay, I guess I gotta carry them one at a time. No problem, right? Well, I carried the mandragora over this cracked wall, and guess what? I just realized I have no clue how to put this thing down. There's no drop or throwaway option, nothing. I tried putting it in these garbage chutes on the wall, but still no luck. Then I found these statues that talk to you. At first, I thought they were just giving you hints, letting you know what to do with the nitro and mandragora, but since I can't seem to place the stuff on the ground, I figure I have to talk to these statues in order to even use the items at all. Even though that makes no sense, that's like talking to a fire hydrant so you can use dynamite to demolish a building. But anyway, talking to the statues doesn't work either. Turns out I was supposed to get the nitro first, but now that I'm stuck holding the mandragora, there's nothing I can do. The game's over. What a fatal flaw. Just because you miss some object, it won't let you continue. I don't know what else to do, so the only other thing I can think of is to start the entire game over.
Damn.
And this time, make sure to get the nitro first. Well, I did just that. I started all the way back from the beginning, made it all the way back to the castle center. So here we are, I got the nitro first. Now I'm heading over to the cracked wall again. Oh shit!
Whoa, what the?
It's explosive. That means you have to walk really slow and be careful not to touch anything. You're not even allowed to jump. Shit!
Damn!
Oh!
Whoa, what the?
Damn!
Man!
And every time it happens, you go back to the save spot. Oh my god. This takes forever. Come on. Come on! Oh, this is so boring. Well, finally, after about a half hour of walking incredibly slow, I made it to the cracked wall. Well, at least I have the nitro this time. Right? What the fuck? I still can't use the item? I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Just kill yourself.
Life sucks. Life fucking sucks. And so does this game. After Castlevania on Nintendo 64, I'd given up hope for the next great game in the series. Several years later, I realized I'd been looking in the wrong place. Like I said before, I stuck with the Nintendo consoles and I missed out on the other Castlevania games, like Castlevania Bloodlines on the Sega Genesis. That's what you call Castlevania. Traditional side-scrolling action. Familiar, yet fresh. It takes place all over Europe rather than just strictly in Transylvania. You get a choice of two characters, John Morris and Eric Lacarde. I wonder what happened to the Belmonts. Who are these people? Well, supposedly John Morris is the son of Quincy Morris from Dracula, the Bram Stoker novel. That just blew my mind. It's like now we're bringing the novel into it? So the whole canon of the games is now with the canon of the book, and it's like taking two canons and put them together. Anyway, this is a great game for the Sega Genesis library, but it's still not on par with Castlevania 4. Whipping in 8 directions, the moonwalking, all that's gone. The graphics, the sound, the gameplay, it's all really good, but it's not as good. Then I turned to the PlayStation, the console which I underestimated so much. There I found Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Holy hot damn, this is fucking good.
That was really cool.
The graphics and sound are superb, but there is some pretty cheesy voice acting.
Die, monster! You don't belong in this world!
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets! But enough talk! Have at you!
The game's a sequel to Dracula X. In the opening scene, you play as Richter Belmont battling Dracula. The rest of the game, you play as Alucard, who's powerful as fuck. Anything that stands in your way, no matter how big, one hit and it just fucking explodes. That is until you meet Death, who takes all your weapons away.
What?
Now, Alucard sucks. All you get is this dinky sword, and every enemy takes like 9 million hits to kill. As you go through the game, you gain power-ups and upgrade your weapons, which is like many games, but to start you off with the good weapons and then take them away is just fucking teasing you. Alucard has this backward dash, but I never found a reason to use it, other than to go slightly faster. And what are these skeletons shooting lasers out their cocks? The one thing I truly hate about this game is that whenever you die, you go back to the main menu. In the other games, you get a continue screen. That's all you need, right? But here, you gotta wait for the screen to melt. Then you gotta stare at the game over screen. Oh, come on.
It's like, yeah, we get it. Game over. We suck.
This takes forever. And then it's back to the title screen. Hit start. Then select the file. Wait for the screen to load. And then pick your saved game. Anal bag, that's me. Then you gotta wait for the game to load. Come on! And finally, you continue from your last save point. That is fucking atrocious. The boss battles are epic. In the end, you have to fight a dark priest named Shaft. But what's up with the name? Seriously, Shaft? And after that, you fight Dracula, and just, wow. Holy shit. The last and most important thing I have to address with this game is its gameplay style. It's the major breakthrough, what sets it apart from the previous games in the series. Instead of the simple linear style, it goes for a Metroid style with endless forks in the road, save points, and a map system. It's exactly like Metroid, and that's why many fans refer to it as Metroidvania. It also has some RPG elements. By fighting monsters, you earn experience points, and when you get enough experience points, you level up your power. There's all kinds of potions and items and armor, weapons and sub-weapons. And this is a huge game. It takes hours to get through the castle. Does Dracula really need such a big place to live? And if that's not enough, you have to go through the whole castle all over again, upside down.
What?
Anyway, this Metroid style of Castlevania would become the dominant style of Castlevania for the rest of time. Sure, there was a 3D game every now and then, and it pretty much took on every style imaginable, but never again was there another classic linear Castlevania. The console versions continued to experiment, while the portable versions followed Symphony of the Night as the example. Pretty much the whole games take place inside the castle. I missed all that spooky scenery. The old games had cemeteries and forests. I mean, since when did the whole game have to take place inside the castle? Since Symphony of the Night, that's when. This is where Castlevania seem to become more distant from the classic games and gravitate away from what I originally loved about it. They have so much text, and the storylines were getting ridiculous. In Dawn of Sorrow, Dracula's castle emerges from a solar eclipse in Japan. I thought Japan had enough trouble with Godzilla stomping around. Now they have Dracula too? By the way, that's a nice cover, isn't it? It's like a game within a game. Anyway, Symphony of the Night is often considered to be the best of the whole series. While I think it's an amazing game, my favorite is still Castlevania 4. The control was so satisfying in that game. Alucard's sword is not as much fun as Simon Belmont's whip. Sure, there is a way to unlock Richter Belmont, but this is only after you've already beaten the game. You can't whip in all directions, but you can do that little twirly thing, and Richter has some neat special moves.
Whoa, slide! Whoa!
But I still prefer the feel of Castlevania 4, and being in total control of my whip. But for the most part, I think the challenge is better. In Symphony of the Night, whenever you come to a hard part, there always seems to be an easier way around it. You can turn into a bat and fly over, or sometimes you need to get more experience points, or there might be some weapon you need to equip, or an item that improves your stamina, or resists fire, or makes you immune to certain magic spells. There's so many variables here. In Castlevania 4, all you had was your own wit. You don't rely on tricks, it's just you and the game. And the only way to beat it is to beat it with your mind and your reflexes. And that, to me, is what Castlevania is all about. And once you've beaten the game in the wee hours of the morning and watched the castle crumble, you reflect on all that time you just spent. The credits sequence shows little replays from each level. It's like watching old memories. And that's what the Castlevania games are for me. Memories that will last forever.
Is that it? Yep, that's really cool. Uh, yep, that's it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. Um, yeah, that's something that seems to happen to a lot of franchises. You know, games, movies, TV shows. Uh, you know, um, yeah, like they have like most of the time it's the first one that's always treasured, the one that's always like pointed out as the best part. And of course, you have the second, third, fourth, and sometimes like one of them will be good, sometimes even better than the first one. Like he said, like he prefers part four because the graphics are better, there's better sound, better music. You got there's better controlling. Then of course you got the Castlevania too. uh, anyway, this was a very good recommendation. I really liked it. Uh, Thank you to everyone who recommended, Castlevania. Uh, yeah, that's it. That's my reaction to Angry Veil Game Nerds Castlevania Part 3 and 4. Everyone, take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.